Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategy into frontline operations. Today, our guest is Nishal Kumar. He is the founder and CEO of No Days Wasted. He's been 3 years in the making. And one of the quirky things is that Nishal does not like to shop. So tell us, what do you mean you don't like to shop?
You know, it's one of these weird things. I don't really have much patience for shopping. I'm not the best consumer. If I need new clothes or something like that, the most I'll do is I'll walk into one store, take one lap without stopping. And if I don't see something I like, I'm out of there. It's just one of those things that I get a little tired and lethargic, and it's, not exciting for me. So I kind of rely on, people close to me, sometimes like family. My brother, he's got good style, so I'm like, hey, next time you go, grab one of those nice new t-shirts you got, or whatever, or those pants, grab me one too, and I'll hit you back for it. So that's kind of the thing. And if I do end up going shopping and finding a few things I like, I'll kind of binge it all at once. I'd say that's one of the few things, if ever I binge, it's like, I'll just get it done all at once and not have to worry about it for another, I don't know how often people buy clothes and different things like that.
I am very similar in ways where when I like something, I'll buy 2 or 3 pairs, like Doer jeans. So shout out to Doer jeans and pants. Like I used to wear Lululemon and ABC pants, and I found their jeans, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these. And because I don't like thinking about what to wear in the morning, I was like, grab the jeans, dress shirt, t-shirt, depending on what I'm doing, and done, like out
Totally.
the door.
Yeah, actually, I have a couple of those Dior jeans too, and
No
same
way.
thing. My brother got me onto them that way. So I totally agree. It kind of follows that. One of the takeaways from Mark Zuckerberg is like, he wears the same T-shirt every day because it's not something he wants to think about, right? He wears a great T-shirt every day. So having my wardrobe is mostly like T-shirts, black, white, blue, whatever, and toss one of those on and your favorite pair of pants, and you're out the door. I do like a nice pair of running shoes or basketball shoes. I'm kind of not a sneakerhead, but
Yeah.
I've got an affinity towards that. So if I were to shop for something, basketball shoes or running shoes, I could kind of, they excite me. And also cook. I cook a lot, so grocery stores, I actually love that because I love picking out ingredients and the creativity that comes with cooking, but also all the color and vibrance that you can put into a meal. So picking through some different veggies and produce and different things.
Okay, so invite you to the grocery store, go on a date on the grocery store, but not at the mall.
Exactly. I should. Yeah, you know what? That's a good one. Yeah, not at the mall. Not at the mall. It'll put me to sleep.
Like every other guest, Nishal, what I let the host, I'm the host, the guest pick their topic of choice for the episode. What is your choice?
My choice is, it's really on brand for No Days Wasted, but let's go with maximizing life's moments. So, big believer in time is our greatest asset and experience is over everything. Let's go with that.
Sure, sounds good. I fully agree. And I mean, no matter what religion, no matter how long you've been on this planet, everybody gets 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody gets more, nobody gets less, everybody gets the same. So tell us your story a little bit. Where are you from? What do you do? How did you get in business? Tell us.
Totally. You know what? So I've always been a little entrepreneur at heart. Grown up here in Vancouver, from the North Shore, originally, and started back on the playground selling Live Strong bracelets and those baller bracelets to other kids. So getting to Live Strong for $1, selling them for $3. I was back in grade 5. I was 10 years old at the time. Selling kind of candy out of my locker, different things like that. And I think it was a really interesting foundation for entrepreneurship, and being able to see sort of some arbitrage or some opportunities to buy something and sell it at a little bit of a higher price, and understanding demand, what people are in, people are into. I guess kids at that age are fixated on little style trends, and also their sweet tooth. But so, and then one thing led to another.
Sugar pusher, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was back in the day for sure. That's the thing. I had the biggest sweet tooth too, so I would eat all the candy in the world. My dentists are actually my best friend. His parents, so they treat me like their own, and they rip into me every time I see them, because I've got very soft teeth. They say soft enamel. It must have been from all those years of eating candy. So,
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. So how did you get in No Days Wasted? How did you come up with the idea? What's behind the business?
totally. So I have a background in science. I've always been passionate about it. I graduated from University of British Columbia with a degree in geophysics and commerce, but I originally started off in biology and chemistry, and with a heavy focus in life science and wanting to be a doctor. And so I was going down that path, but I realized that the balance, I like more balance in my life.
Mhm.
So I like to play basketball. I like to stay fit, exercise, socialize with friends. Socializing with friends leads to, maybe a drink or two in the evening. And sometimes the consequence of that is you may not feel so hot the next day.
Mhm.
So no days wasted, and it's not like we're binging or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing anything too excessive. It's just more, the social aspect of having a drink, celebrating the moment, catching up with someone on a Friday afternoon after a long work week. And after having worked in the engineering space for a little bit, I worked for Tesla, more on the sales and marketing side. Then I worked for an engineering firm as a geophysicist, and I realized that I wanted to do my own thing, and I started a business making aftermarket parts for Teslas that grew that to a six-figure business, and that allowed me to leave my engineering
Mm,
role.
nice.
And then from there, what happened is I realized I'd automated that business a bit, and I was experiencing a little bit of this problem where I wasn't feeling great the next day. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna either stop having these drinks in the evening with friends, or maybe figure out a solution that is tangible and has some merit, or maybe some science
Mhm.
behind it. I'm like, why not put my degree to work? So I really dug deep into a lot of scientific literature, looked at ingredients that were being studied for, um, you know, well, basically, actually looked at the crux of the problem first, which there's a big misconception out there that, say, hangovers or that negative after effect, and sort of say the nausea, the brain
Mhm.
fog, that anxiety the next day, it's all caused by dehydration. But the truth is that's only about 20% of the picture. The the challenge is that the buildup of toxins is what causes that,
Oh.
those after effects. And I think in sort of mainstream media and what you see, people think it's just it's a hydration
Mhm.
issue, but that's the small, most obvious problem to solve. So how do we break down these what are these toxins? Alcohol is a toxin. Its toxic byproduct is an even worse toxin, about 20 times more poisonous than alcohol itself. And how do we break that down before we get to the next morning? Um, so that became the challenge. And how do we, you know, I think my science background, one of my profs at UBC was always talking about first principles, first principles, first principles. It's like
Mhm. Of course.
whenever you ask him a question, I'm like, and at the time I was like, okay, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, like, maybe after you're done the course, or after you've gone through that whole journey, you're like, oh, that's what he meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really just looking at the problem at its simplest form, and solving the simplest form of it,
Correct.
is how I like to approach things, and that's taking the first principles approach to problem solving in life. So I know I've been rambling a little bit here, but long story short, looked to solve my own problem. Did a ton of research and came across some really promising ingredients, and it led to the development of what is our hero product now in DHM Detox. So, little plug. No days wasted. DHM Detox basically is a vitamin for when you drink.
Oh wow.
It helps break down the toxic byproducts of alcohol during your evening. So you wake up feeling fresh the next morning. Drink some water, get some sleep. Couldn't fit that in little capsules. So yeah, and we essentially, I one of my best friends helped me develop the formula early on. I really was just bouncing ideas back and forth off him. We did chemistry and biology together for 7 years through high school and university. Um, and also we did a backpacking trip through Europe, and also part of South Africa, where he's from, in the summer of 2017, and that's when we tested a lot of the ingredients and the blend. So
To test
it was
it, you need to have an initial situation to be able to test the product. So there has to be a proper a test individual to do so, and nothing better than an entrepreneur testing himself on yourself, right? So
Oh yeah, I think one of the big things in anything you do, you have to obviously, you do your research and see what's been
of course.
studied and the trials and things like that. But then you got to prove it to yourself,
Hmm.
that and because sometimes what you read sounds too good to be true. But we even
Hmm.
find that with our customers. They're like, "Hey, uh, I was skeptical at first, but I tried it and it's changed the game for me." So so yeah, we took it to the playground of Europe, and we're bouncing around from city to city, meeting new people, toasting, cheers, and having a couple drinks here and there. And um, you know, I packed my bag. It was half socks and underwear, half supplement pill bottles of these various ingredients. And we stop at the border or go through security to say a new country, and people would they'd be looking at and be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just vitamins, man. You're good. We're good." No. And they're like, "No problem." Kind of weird. Half your bag is vitamins, but yeah, no issues
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Oh, good, good, good. So then it became that. So how did you fund your business? Was it self-funded? Did you get investors? Like, how did you? So you came up with an idea. I'm assuming you did a business plan.
um, yeah, I mean, the business plan was more of a one pager, and like, okay, more of a yeah, I had say more of a modern day business plan
Now
without
that's
the
all right, but you just
yeah.
still did a business plan. You still went, okay. So how do I monetize this idea, right?
Totally, totally. And the interesting thing, I'd been connected to a couple people in the supplement space just coincidentally a few months prior. Gotten some tours of manufacturing facilities and contract manufacturers, and learned quite a bit about it. So the timing was interesting because it was still fresh in my mind. But put the business plan together, and said, okay, what do we need to do to prove this out? And ended up coming up with, okay, let's do a crowdfunding campaign. It's
Hmm.
low risk. We can do one run. We can get the one run funded. I had put initially about 10 grand of my own money in that I'd
Hmm.
saved up from working my other job, um, and also running my other business, and to get the initial stuff going,
Hmm.
initial design work, a little video production, things like that. And we did it on a really like on a shoestring budget. And then brought on some industry experts, obviously to validate everything beforehand.
Hmm.
Um, that 15 years in the health and wellness supplement space, understanding the regulatory landscape, the ingredient landscape, and everything from there. And in May, I think it was May of 2018, we launched an Indiegogo campaign, and it ended up doing about 30 some odd $1,000 Canadian in about 45 days. So that was good, and that helped us fund the first production run and get product going. And we kind of shipped that out, learned about the back end logistics and how we needed to have, things pretty, we'll say with a 3PL, like fulfilled
Hmm.
easily and hands off from that approach. And then that first production run actually helped us, bootstrap and get the next production run going,
Hmm.
and grow from there. So I did end up putting some more of my money in. I brought in some money from friends and family as well. But we haven't done any traditional raise or
Hmm.
anything like that, call it a Series A or anything of that sort. It's mostly just been pretty organic in the growth,
Hmm.
I'd say. And then from there, we started marketing a lot, and the marketing terms were good. You get 30-day terms, so some of the stuff we were doing, we'd find out pretty quick if it would hit, and
Hmm.
um, and it did. And then that way you can fuel the marketing machine and the sales machine that you have going.
Yeah, co-manufacturers is when you're first starting your business, finding the right co-man is somewhat of a trial and error. You have to have a lot of information. And sometimes I've heard a lot and lived a lot of bad experiences in that. So it's important to do your homework. If there's one thing that you think about taking a CPG product to market, is really, if there's one place, and if we talk about the value of time in and experience, is to ensure that you do a lot of research on your co-man, because that is the key to your success, right? That's your cogs in itself, basically. So you should invest a lot of time and energy. If you're going to hand over your IP baby to somebody else, you want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that and it's not necessarily they're going to steal your IP, is will they deliver on your level of expectation? Because you are a small fish in a very big pond when you're starting off. You're competing with other people who have great ideas, and these co-manufacturers really don't give a shit. They go, okay, you want to get this done, so let's build a relationship, but make sure that
Yeah.
you have a good contract where people understand. And there are some co-mans that do initial runs for you, but
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
that's just making sure that the time is well
No,
spent.
that's a great point. I think it's relationship first, but the truth is you can't really form that until you've proven yourself, because
Mhm.
they see guys like you, or little groups like you, or these startups, dime a dozen. They're like, you're
Oh.
dime a dozen. They all say we're going to grow our runs. They all say you're going to be here forever. But I'd say like maybe 5-10% actually come back and do a second run kind of thing, and then turn it into something else. So yeah, we've had a great relationship with our contract manufacturers over the last few years, which has been great. Open communication, really, a lot of trust there, and I love hanging out with them, and going for visits too. So um, it is a very critical part of the game. Also, the expectation, like you mentioned, is huge. Just like anything, really, like
Mhm.
setting an expectation early um, is critical. Because if I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to be ready to sell this by the end of summer, and they're thinking, no, no, you'll get it by the end of the year. There's a big difference in expectation, and that's like you miss the whole holiday season, right? You miss
Yeah.
everything, and then you launch in January, and it changes your whole dynamic of your business. And launching anything in January is hard. So, I
For,
mean, the expectations are very important.
I want to bring it back to time, because I think that too many, and let's focus on entrepreneurs for a little bit. Too many entrepreneurs get told, work through it, work hard, go through it, dig in, put your grit
Hmm.
in. That's all horseshit. Timing is everything. The reason why most entrepreneurs is because they ride the wave. They keep working
Yeah,
and working and working and working and working. And then all of a sudden the timing is right. They haven't changed anything from what they did yesterday. But for
right.
some reason, the market, the environment, all of the variables line up to make sure that the timing is right. And poof, there you go. And they said, oh,
Totally.
my hard work paid off. That's fucking bullshit. It's a timing. Now, were you prepared because you've worked hard? Don't get me wrong. Hard work should always be celebrated.
Hmm.
Working smart is the idea. Okay, when's the right time to launch this?
Yep.
When is the best time to launch this? Okay, holidays might be the best time to launch this. What's the
Yep.
planogram for some of these retailers that I want to jump into? If the retail is until January, it's like, oh shit. Well, if I sell it in January, when is it going to hit the market on the retail shelf? Maybe it's before July, June. So maybe
Hmm.
launching it before Christmas is not the right thing to do. Being curious about the timing is important. It's not just all about hard work. It's just that's an old goat talking.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with you. I think timing is critical. I think you need to have like that conditioned, like consistency conditioned into
Correct.
you,
Yes.
because otherwise you're not ready. Like you mentioned, when the time is right, you're not ready. You're scrambling. You're behind,
Mhm.
right? I always like this. You know what? Who said this? Where I initially heard it was "Stay ready, so you don't have to get ready." I think it was like
Mhm.
Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch. This guy, I love him. He's so entertaining. He's the former running back for the Seattle Seahawks, but quite a personality. But he's got a great mindset. It's like he's like, I stay ready, so I don't have to get ready. Because when the opportunity comes, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta grab it, right? You gotta grab it. So that's critical. That's critical for sure.
That's
And
and people say luck, right? Oh, you were lucky. No, no, no. I was prepared. I was
Mm-hmm.
prepared for when the moment showed up. That's not luck. Now,
Yeah.
are there variables? Yes. So when the opportunity shows up, so you call it emergency response, business continuity, whatever you want to call it. And you're absolutely right. If you are prepared and consistent. So that, I mean, I think your topic, I want to bring it back to your topic because I believe
Mm-hmm.
that too many entrepreneurs, and let's talk about CEOs as well,
Yeah.
undervalue time.
Right.
And it's becoming more so. There's an episode I recorded with Ryan Hardmar. She's a CEO of Sleep Therapeutics. He's going to shoot me if I don't get it right. But anyways, he's a good friend.
Yeah.
He says about putting your mask on first. And so like the airplane, if you take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you're all about that and so I want to hear your story because you are younger than I am. You are a younger entrepreneur. You're part of a new generation of business owners and leaders. Why did you choose that? Why do you think that time and experience is so important?
Yeah. One of the things I had come to realize over, okay, so I'll give you an example. I started what I thought was my dream job after leaving Tesla.
Mhm.
I got this degree in geophysics. I thought, hey, I'm going to work in an engineering firm. I'm working this 9 to 5. I'm set, right? And then a lot of people, media, you see them posting these things about fancy cars, this and that. And I thought, and then also my boss at that engineering firm, he had 10 Porsches. Okay. And ultimately, I was like, oh, wow, this guy's cool. He's running his own business. He's got these cars. He must be so happy and so excited all the time. But really, it doesn't seem like that was the case. But I was like, oh, so maybe material objects and possessions aren't the goal here, right? And they're really not, because the times that I've experienced the most happiness are when I'm doing the things with my time that don't feel like work. Um,
Mm.
but you're still truly staying productive. But it's like the living in the moment and execution and all that comes together, and it's a truly fulfilling process. And the journey is very much what you're on, right? And what you're experiencing, and then the fact that you're working is almost like an afterthought, right?
Mhm.
So, but rather than working for material objects and possessions, I work for time and experience. And that's why I think this brand is so much fun for me and it doesn't seem like work, is because, you can have a couple drinks in the evening with your friends, but bounce back and hit your morning workout. I'm a big fan of morning workouts, especially
Mhm.
as the days have gotten a lot longer here. Get up at 6, get in the gym 6:15 kind of thing, and get those endorphins flowing before you sit down at your desk. And I found that's been great for me. But also time, like you mentioned, no matter who you are, is it's the same. We all get 24 hours, and the truth is, it doesn't discriminate, right? It's non-discriminatory, which is really cool, especially in a world of with political and geographical climates and different challenges that are very discriminatory. If time is very, very objective.
Oh, the great leveler. The time is the greatest leveler. When you and I always look at some clients, especially some of the younger ones, and I say, hey, okay, so look at the person that you're looking. That person, that actor, is living right now. He's
Mhm.
living. He's breathing. She's living. She's breathing. She's doing something. When you pass somebody on the road, because they're no longer part of your view doesn't mean that they've stopped living. So somebody else is living their lives and that in that same time and period.
Totally.
Stoicism, I'm a big Stoic fan, and
Okay.
I've searched for different philosophies to which I can feel comfortable that have a daily application. So a lot of people say leadership this, leader. How can I, in my journaling, say, I always tell myself, how will I be courageous? How will I be wise? What will I do today that is kind, tempered, and just? Now, those are the things that
Hmm.
I ask myself to do. And one of the key things about Stoicism is called memento mori, remember death.
Yeah.
And remembering death means that, some people say that's pretty morbid. it's in the code of the Bushido that was invented like in Japan and in back in Greece and Rome. It's about, okay, so if you die tomorrow, what will you have done with your day?
Right.
And a lot of people forget they live for tomorrow. Entrepreneurs are pretty bad at this. CEOs are pretty bad at this. So I think your term today is very appropriate, that you're saying, "Hoy, hold on a second. Yeah, I want to make sales for tomorrow, and my strategic plan is this, and I want to do this for tomorrow." Whoa, what about today? There is
Hmm.
nothing wrong in doing nothing for 20 minutes. That's what a
Yeah.
lot of people think, right? So I want to kind of riff off your topic about
Yeah.
productivity. It's okay to be productive. You don't have to be productive 24 hours a day. Being aware, doing awareness, being with your family, ensuring that your head is where your feet are, I think is very
Hmm.
important. And that's why the experience of your topic there is very
Right.
critical as well.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, like you're being present in whatever it is you're doing. Right. Um, I and people like you said have meant focused on this grind all the time, and then they never. It just is this obscure concept of people are energizer bunnies that are not human and they're not living, right? So I think it's critical. One of the things I've learned to do better is balance, and that's as one of the again I tie it back to No Days Wasted as a brand. Um, this is why it's so much fun for me, is because I'm hoping to achieve balance. I'm hoping our customers achieve balance. That's the goal, right? Find this ultimate balance where you can be your best self, you can be present, and in the moment of in the celebratory moment, or present at the gym, or present in rest,
Mhm.
and in quiet time and downtime, and or present when you're working, or present in conversation like this, right? So I think that's yeah, you hit the nail on the head, right?
Well, I love your product because it is very disruptive in the North American industry. I've lived and worked in Europe where you have beer and wine at lunchtime. You go back to work and you've
Mhm.
had drinks at lunchtime. Um, down in Australia, in New Zealand, beers are drinking quite frequently. So
Yeah.
there's this stigma associated with alcohol that says, well, if you're having a drink, then you're completely letting go. So what I like it you're saying is that there's this, especially during COVID, there's this very social aspect to drinking that
Mhm.
should not be undermined or made evil. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong in consuming alcohol. It's moderation. There's cannabis is on track now in Canada, so it's legal
Mhm.
to consume cannabis.
And
In
even
mod,
soon enough in the States, to be honest, which is a
yeah,
even bigger playground, right?
and in gambling is the same way, right? So you're
Yeah.
saying things within, and what you're offering in is to say, well, hold on a second, maybe you didn't want to socialize because you're saying, oh, maybe I have a hard time drinking, and or so you're trying kind of opening the door and having a conversation to saying, well, especially during COVID, let's get back on the patios,
Mhm.
let's share a drink, and does mean that your Saturday morning is completely. So I think it's very appropriate during the time and situation that the entire world is faced in. What kind of flack have you received? Because I'm sure that
Totally.
people, some organizations are saying like, you're encouraging people to
Right.
drink to excess. How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, actually, I got a little bit of that. I was on Dragon's Den.
Oh,
It
no way.
aired in December 8th. I think it was episode season 15, episode 8, I believe. But you can watch it online on CBC's website, and hopefully it'll be on Netflix soon.
Hmm.
But one of the dragons, he kind of clapped back at me and said, and mind you, he's a guy with a reputation for, enjoying a nice glass of scotch or wine. So I found it a little ironic, but and he lives in wine country, in Kelowna. But the funny thing is, he's like, yeah, you're encouraging. It's irresponsible. You're encouraging people to drink, and the truth is, in our messaging, we're very careful with what we say. I
Of
think it's
course.
important to give the right message, and really encourage this behavior of more achieving balance and being responsible and being educated and knowing that alcohol is a toxin, knowing that it, you know what, it isn't great for you, but how can you provide yourself with a little bit of support, so you can experience all of life's moments, right?
Mhm.
Um, but also, I feel like the marketing messaging is very important, and just general brand messaging. Um, but on top of that, a lot of us, we are adults, and part of being an adult is to be able to make decisions for yourself. Um, we don't we're not trying to encourage binging or anything like that. And again, it comes back to the messaging. You got to be careful with that. I have a responsibility. Our team does as well, to make sure people are, if they're celebrating, and we're just there for those moments to help them feel better. um, and from that, we actually have moved on with a few other products. So we have a hydration product as well now. It's electrolyte drink mix. So being hydrated and feeling great all the time is, limits your fatigue and your sluggishness. And then also immune support products. So immune support gummies, vitamin D, elderberry, zinc, vitamin C, some very important ingredients there.
So imagine if you said, okay, so Nestle, you bottle water. So
Yeah.
did you know that you encourage drinking? What do you mean you encourage drinking? Well, people are dehydrated after. And if your water wasn't on the market, people would not drink. Like it would be as foolish as saying, as telling Nestle, don't make money selling off water because you encourage people to drink because they get dehydrated after. Like, come on.
Totally. Yeah, and one of the things is alcohol has been a pillar of our society,
No.
for centuries. There's industries, and we've seen the bar and nightlife industry, even, all the bartenders that have been out of work and lost jobs because of this. But they're and also alcohol is advertised so openly and freely,
Yeah.
right? So to think that if we give you a little bit of support, um, that
That
we're in
you're
the
going to
wrong.
drink more. I
Yeah.
completely agree. I completely agree. Like, so where you're going to destroy all the wine, the wineries, and because somebody's growing grapes, you're telling people that you're encouraging alcoholism because you're putting wine on the table. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
Ridiculous from the guy. Yeah, let's double faced. Anyways, uh, so tell me. So now that you've got your
But
business.
before we jump on, I just want to
Go
say,
ahead.
like, my interaction with him on Dragon's Den was
Yeah.
largely positive. Lots of
Oh,
respect
yeah,
for him.
yeah.
I just think, there was a little dramatic. That show was a little dramatic, so there was an opportunity to kind of jump on me, and he took it. And you know what? All the power to him. But I just think, we're in a good spot with our messaging,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah,
making
yeah,
sure that people
absolutely.
are responsible. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. The time component and the experience, where where do you see the there's a big transition between us Gen X and millennials in regards to entrepreneurs. And
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people in your generation as entrepreneurs see that time and experience as key to the success, because there's a lot of people who are moving away from regular jobs and going
Yep.
back into entrepreneurs. How do you feel? Because I know that you're not you're one that has proven success. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves CEOs and founders
Right.
and don't necessarily have a good product or history behind them. Is that going to change? What's your opinion on the time and experience going forward with how, because you're mingling with a lot more junior entrepreneurs than me. I'm
Totally.
dealing with more senior guys and guys that have a lot more experience on, I shouldn't say a lot more experience, have more life experience at the
Right.
other end of the spectrum. What's your view on how entrepreneurs are going to evolve?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, you've seen, anyone with sort of a side hustle calling themselves an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
or an entrepreneur or CEO. And I think it's important to, I mean, like, don't start these businesses and do these things for the title, right?
Hmm.
Um, do them because you're truly passionate about them. Launch them because you're solving a problem for yourself and others, uh, and focus on the journey rather than this title, or maybe a facade of, you are something bigger than you are. I think what ultimately, with most business product service based, which is all business really, it starts and ends with your customer, right?
Mhm.
So if you're solving a problem for someone, then that's when you that's when you give yourself a pat on the back. And when you're or you don't even have to give yourself the pat on the back. It just is inherent in what you're doing. Um, so I think sometimes people are a little too quick to jump the gun and say, okay, I've come up with this idea and I've written down two sentences and now I'm a CEO or founder. Um, you know, sure, but I mean, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because you've
That's
given
true.
yourself credit before you've actually executed on something. I do have a lot of friends that are sort of in my age range, and I'm haven't hit 30 yet. I'm 29, just turned 29, but they're killing it, like just absolutely crushing it, and they're the most humble people there are, right? So that I've met. They're
Mhm.
not advertising the fact that they're a CEO or founder, but they're doing revenues upward of 30, 40, 50 million, 60 million a year, right? And they have a team of 20, 30, 40, 50 people. So um, they're not quick to update their Instagram bio or anything like that, saying, "Hey, I'm CEO and CEO life is what I live." I think it's comes with a high level of awareness, um,
Mhm.
or not even high level of awareness, a moderate level of awareness to start. And if you can have a good awareness, that'll help you in all facets of life, but also that'll help you, focus on the journey that is your business, that is your project, that is your startup, right? So it can turn into what you truly would like it to be.
Yeah, there's a stigma against millennials that I personally dislike. I've, a lot of Gen Xers and older people, baby boomers. All these millennials, they're entitled, they're this, they're that. The- they're just asking more questions. They,
Yeah.
you guys have, and I shouldn't say you guys. Most millennials have not gone
Hmm.
through as much hardship because of the world in itself was in a better place, right? So you can't say that a millennium that grew up in Syria is entitled. There's no way.
Right.
There's location, but if we look at North America and the Western world and most of Asia, there's more billionaires now than ever. It's not a generational issue; it's a wealth situation that created a little bit more comfort. What I believe is you millennials are more aware of what's important in life because
Right.
they didn't necessarily have parents. They had a mom and a dad that worked full time, that hustled, that worked hard to give them what they had. And, because I remember the same thing when I grew up. And now it's that relationship of being able to spend time with your family and wanting more time is very
Hmm.
well placed. And I'm hoping that is a shift, and I'm counting on you guys, the millennials, to make
Yeah.
that worldly shift of saying that profit isn't everything.
It's true. I mean, that's a really good point. Use my mom as an example. So single mother, and she worked so hard and would work, just be working all the time. We'd spend good quality time in the evenings and weekends and that kind of thing. But it led to my brother and I being a little more independent and learning that, okay, if we want to get something done, we got to do it, or we've got to do it
Mhm,
ourselves, right? And personally, I didn't uh, have an allowance growing up. That's why I did these little side hustles,
mhm,
which led to me, spending my time in a way that was it was profitable, sure, in a monetary sense, but it was profitable for my mind and my growth and my
mhm,
development. So it was very cool. But now I'm always pushing my mom. I'm like, you know what? It's time for you to retire because you got to be enjoying. You got to be enjoying, and you know what? Like the little extra that you're going to earn or whatever, it's not going to outweigh the benefits and the profit, you like personal profit, we'll call it, or emotional profit, or um, experience that you're going to get from having that time available to maybe we go on a trip, maybe we spend more quality time, maybe maybe you experience something completely different. So it's very interesting. I think that shift is interesting because a lot of my age group has seen their parents work that way, um, and it does pave a great foundation um, for becoming a better individual and conditioning us to work hard, but also realize that work at the end of the day isn't everything. You know, do a great job in what you do, and make sure you can earn to be comfortable. But experiencing those moments with others is, you know, there's no price you can put on that, right?
That's for sure. On the opposite end of the spectrum, what I find hilarious is this: find your purpose. There's,
Yeah.
and that's my position, right? When you see a pride of lion that had just killed a zebra, they don't think about their purpose. They're like, I'm hungry. I need to eat a zebra. I ate the zebra. I'm gonna lay down, enjoy the moment in the sun. So finding your purpose, yes. Is it important to define yourself as a human being, to be or not to be? I agree. At the time that nobody is judging you and nobody really gives a shit about Martin or
Mhm.
Nishal, they don't.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that people are selfish. Far from it. A lot of people are giving. It's just that we think so much highly of ourselves and we need to have a purpose. How about just being a good person?
Yeah.
It's okay to be just a good person. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be Mother Teresa. Just bringing it back to time and experience. What have you done
Hmm.
today to be kind?
Totally. And you know what? Even in experiences where it's like not a positive one, right?
Yeah.
Where someone's giving you a hard time for something or whatever. My boss when I worked at Tesla, and this is one of the favorite things that she taught me. I've had some very polarizing bosses, I'd say, in a way. She was very hands on. My one at the engineering firm was too hands off, which I think, you know, was interesting. But she said, you know, kill them with kindness,
Mm.
kill them with kindness, and that's something I like to do all the time. Like, you know, I'm going to be nice to everyone, but the truth is, if someone's mean to me, I'm going to be extra nice to them. So I'm going to be extra nice, because conflict is really not worth it in any shape or form. It's just like, it doesn't make anyone better. But
Mhm.
I think if you kill them with kindness and you're extra nice back to someone who's giving you a rough time, you know, a hard time, or being mean to you, they're going to realize it's going to put them in their place, more so than you coming back at them, right, and throwing jabs back at them. So it's kind of a win-win situation, I'd say.
Oh yeah, conflict resolutions. We could go on for hours with how you utilize the time and how you ask questions. I think that the experience, if you want to call it that, of a learning, how do you leverage that experience? And if you take the time, and
Hmm.
that's what I hope. Like I said, like I hope that a lot of people, through the awareness, through the millenniums' ability to be a little bit more aware, or a lot more aware than some of my generation, is to say, well, what am
Right.
I learning from, right? And I'm again, we're generalizing. There's a lot of self-entitled people at all ages, all generations. Stupidity is the least racial. Stupid people come in all shapes, color, religion.
Yeah, that also doesn't discriminate, but
Exactly. Uh, so the time spent in regards to living up to certain self-imposed expectations and experiences are really good. What was one piece of information, one reference document, one book that when we think about you and you think about yourself, you say, that's me. This was my Bible for
yeah.
business, or as a
Okay,
human
so
being, or as a human being as a whole, as a CEO.
I got to tell you, I love this story because or this question, because this book is actually so foundational in more ways than one. So I grew up playing basketball, and that's what instilled a lot of I feel like my work ethic and
Mhm.
sort of resiliency. I was always the skinniest guy on the court, but I was the best shooter because I worked so hard at it. But to jump to that book, and to give a bit more context, it's called 11 Rings: The Soul of Success,
Oh,
and that's with Phil Jackson, the most winningest coach of all time in the NBA. He coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant for, you know, all of 6 of Michael's rings and all five of Kobe's, making it 11, and then also won 2 on his own as a player with New York. Way back in the day, but his approach to life, and business and basketball has always been a, it's a you know, I'm not an overly religious person, but I love the values of religion,
mhm.
and it's a Buddhist approach to life and business and basketball. And he takes this, one thing. There's this one chapter in there. It's called "Chop Wood, Carry Water," and it's really about focusing on that journey and falling in love with the journey that you're in. Giving that example, people who are in more rural places have to chop their firewood and get it every day and go get their water from the well or
Mm-hmm.
wherever the case may be. And those are the things they do to survive, but also they give them the means to thrive and move
Mm-hmm.
forward from there as well. So that book has been very foundational in my life. It ties into basketball because there's beautiful anecdotes about get into the mind or personality of Kobe and Michael, but also it just truly teaches you to be a good person, to live in the moment, to fall in love with living in the moment and this journey that you're on, because life is truly about this journey. It is,
Mm-hmm.
our death, like you mentioned it, although a little morbid, it's the reality of things, but that's the finality of your journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's just be present. Let's fall in love with the process of things. And then that's your life will be so much more fulfilling.
When you eat a strawberry, so if you live in the northern hemisphere,
Yeah.
June strawberries compared to a December strawberry that comes
But-
from Mexico or Spain, you taste the
Right.
difference.
Oh yeah.
And it's because of
It's
time.
June's coming soon. Hey, so there we go. We're 11 days from June. Let's get those strawberries going. We
It's
got some great ones in BC.
exactly. So the you taste the difference.
Yeah.
The beauty in a flower, in a tulip, and any flower that comes in on a yearly basis. You look at that flower, you go, wow, haven't seen that in a year. The
Mm-hmm.
mangoes that I've had in Africa off the tree, right?
Oh yeah.
I started splitting a mango in two, and the guys are saying, "What are you doing, white man?" I was like, "What do you mean? I'm cutting my. That's how I eat." He said, "They take the mango off the tree and they bite into it like an apple because the skin is so thin
Oh my
because of
gosh.
the ripeness." I was like,
Yeah.
why are you peeling it?" Well, because they get picked in South America, they get shipped up to the
Yeah.
US, and then you go, "Well, my mango is not, it was picked green." So your comment about living in the moment is so critical to saying there's a reason why the strawberry is good in June, is because the
Mm-hmm.
timing is right.
Yeah.
The experience is better because of timing, because of the value of time, the value of the sun, the seasons in the life. Wow. Full circle, my friend. Wow. Very
I know.
deep.
I love that. You know what? I love mangoes. I love strawberries, but I need to go try those African mangoes
Oh,
where you pick them right off the tree, because it sounds like paradise.
I mean, it was, and so back in the mining days, my
Hmm.
mining days, we go into far and we do prospecting and we drive up to these places and the mangoes would fall on the ground and the cows would go underneath it because there'd be so many mangoes. So if there's one
Yeah.
thing that you do, go to Western Africa, go follow the Gambia River as far as you can go. There'll be a mango tree waiting for you at the end because there will
Yeah.
be as you drive by all those bobas tree, and then that is an experience that that I will never forget. The earth, the ground, the sun, the smells. Uh, wow, what a great full circle.
I love it. I love it. One of the interesting things though about that living in the moment, I mean, like some of these sort of one-liners that we've said can be interpreted as cliches, but I think you should look way beyond the cliche of it and say, what the hell does that truly mean? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's a reason people say them. I don't like cliches, but I do think there's some great sayings or one-liners that have been turned into cliches because it's just maybe a good marketing message or whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
but truly like dissect it. And what does it mean to you? How do you personalize it? What does living in the
Hmm.
moment mean for you? Does it mean enjoying that bite, every bite of that strawberry, and letting your olfactory senses and your brain really process each sort of element of the smell, the texture, the taste, right? Is that what it means for you? If that's what it means for you, that's where you get the most value
Hmm.
and you'll be happiest. So I don't think, living in the moment is, something that should just be said and tossed around. I think it's something that should be executed on, right?
Agreed.
And once you do it a few times, then maybe uh, it'll be once you take that moment to stop and smell the roses or taste the strawberry, then it'll become second nature that you'll appreciate the little things along the way, because that's life is just a bunch of little things, really.
And that is a great CEO message. You take the time to build this business. You take the time to work hard at it. And are you truly appreciating it? Right? Are
Hmm.
you living so much into the future of your business that you're forgetting that today is very important?
Right.
Right? Um,
Right.
how does it go? My kids, they said it all the time. Oogway, in Kung Fu Panda, they said,
Yeah.
yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why they call it the present. And
There we
that's
go.
that, I went, we rewatched the movie. I was like, wow, damn, Oogway, man, that turtle, that's pretty powerful from coming from a Disney movie or whatever that is. So, anyways, with Jack Black. Um, Last
I
question.
was,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say it's pretty profound when you go back and watch some of these Disney movies as an adult, and you pick up these messages that are sort of hitting your kids like subconsciously, or like they don't really understand it, but they'll say it later, and it'll it'll condition their mode of thinking a little bit. But you go back like, wow, there's some really powerful stuff in these movies, right? And if you take them the right way, you could be, uh, it just helps with the development of your character in such an important and special way, right?
Oh yeah, you always find something that defines you as for me, the movie Master and
Hmm.
Commander, Leadership with Russell Crowe is I always refer company leaders back to that one. It's
I
real.
will jot that one down.
Yeah, Master and Commander.
Okay.
Men must be led, and we say men, but that was back in the 1700s when there was navies and the world was still new to most human beings. So it was great resilience, and there's a part where there's a storm and somebody, anyways, I won't tell you more, but there's a good part in that one. So
Awesome.
final question, let's talk about time and experiences.
Hmm.
What are you working on now? Where are you spending your time, or what are you thinking is the most valuable use of your time during COVID, now where you're at
Yeah.
in business? What's most valuable to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, from a business side of things, we're working on just kind of increasing our footprint and distribution, and we're trying to get our products in more people's hands. That's scaling up marketing initiatives, really focused on creating content that's powerful, and resonates and is relatable with the audiences that have so far taken a liking to us, and then in growing from there. And part of that also will be on the ground distribution. We primarily sell in the U.S. As our main market. So being, having a footprint in retail is important, especially as things have opened up here.
Mhm.
So that's important. Just navigating that landscape. I've always been a bigger e-commerce guy than I have been a retail sales sort of person. Because I see the efficiencies in it. I see the higher margins. I see the thing. Sort of
And you don't like to shop.
the ability. Exactly. I don't like to shop. Um, comes full circle. It's all related, right? But I do truly see the value in having your products at the till or where they need to be, so people can easily access them. So
Agreed.
that's a focus for this year, and and then more from a sort of bigger picture, like not related to kind of a sales side of things. I think we have such a strong team. It's just enabling everyone to make sure that what they're growing, they're enjoying the journey. They see, we have a lot of flexibility with the way we do things at No Days Wasted. I don't think you can be creative by sitting in front of a screen for eight
Oh,
hours a day
yeah.
in the same room every day. So, we have time in the office where we're together, but then we also have the work from home days where it's like, you really encourage them, your team to get out, and take those walks, go work from the beach, wherever you can get a stable Wi-Fi. Change your environment, stay creative, have fun with it. Remember, it's not work. It's we're just working towards a common goal, and don't make it work, kind of thing. So don't make it feel like a job. Sorry, is what
Yeah, no, I
what I
gotcha.
mean.
I get it.
Right.
Don't make it work. Yeah, no, I like
Yeah.
it. I like that. That's going to become a cliche. Don't make it work. It's not
Yeah.
work.
Exactly.
It's you're just working towards a goal. I think that's very well said. That's very well
Yeah.
said.
So really focusing on that time. I really love enjoying the sunny days. We have beautiful sunsets here up by Kitts Beach in Vancouver. Also beautiful sunrises. I think sunrises are truly, truly undervalued. It's because most people aren't awake for them. So
Four
less
four
talked about.
4:35 every morning. It's
Yeah,
it's hard in the wintertime. I have to admit, getting up at 4:30 on the winter days is very difficult for me. But you
that's
you,
wild.
you push out. Yeah. Oh, but hey, 9:30 rolls around. I'm kind of like, whoa, hold on a second.
Quick power nap or what?
sometimes during
Yeah,
my midday break, I have breathing exercises, and sometimes I just accept it. I was like, if my body's tired, um, I use a Diwali technique, which is um, 2 spoons. So you sit on the chair, you kind of hold two little 2 spoons in your thumbs, and when you
yeah.
fall asleep, one of the teaspoons will fall, and then you'll wake up, and so that gives you that. Not Diwali, Dali. The painter Dali did that. Sorry.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm learning so much. I'll check that out.
Yeah. So Dali used to do power naps, I think every single day. I can't remember, but
Yeah,
and I just like to switch my brain off. So you kind of take these little teaspoons, put them in your thumbs, and when you fall asleep, you kind of let go of the pressure. It glings, and it's usually about between 9 and 11 minutes all the time.
oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a good little sweet spot. I
And
like
then
20-minute nap is a good one too.
I can't do 20 minutes because as soon as I hit 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm down. I'm staying for longer.
Oh my gosh.
I can't
There
do
we
it
go.
more. Nishal, thank you very, very much for being on the show. For such a young entrepreneur, you bring a lot of value and insight and foresight. So thank you very much
Thank you.
for being who you are and being the next guys up, right? I like to see young entrepreneurs, leaders, and CEOs take up, and I have faith in the new generation. You guys are going to do good. I really believe that. I truly and honestly
Wonderful.
believe that. So with that, thank you very much for being on the show.
I truly appreciate it, Martin. It was a great conversation. Honestly, we need to grab a beer on a patio here and some strawberries, of course, as well. And but wonderful conversation. I appreciate the time as well. So
can't wait to try the product.
100%. We'll send some over your way. We'll get that going right away.
Thank you very much. With that said, my name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate vision into frontline operations. Thank you very much. Please, marketing team is going to kill me again. Please like, subscribe. I always forget. So, well, anyways, do all that social media stuff. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes or check us out at www.whatceos.com.